Good afternoon, Frederick County and the rest of America. My name is Dana B from Mountain Patriots, and we're going to bring you some pretty cool stuff here today. I'm here with my partner and great friend of the last 25 years, a brother in Christ with me, my buddy Clint Carter. And we're looking at things. We've been talking a lot recently about the fact of after we just had the government shut down and people on SNAP and illegals and healthcare and so forth, we see a serious problem coming. So we wanted to do a little precursor on what we see coming with our experience, and we'll tell you a little bit about our experience as we go along on what we see coming and some of the things that we can put out there to let people know how different things can be handled. So I'm going to turn it over to my great friend, brother, and partner, Clint Carter. Thanks for being here, Clint. Appreciate you, brother.
Dana, it's great to be with you today, and I'm glad that we're going to bring this subject up
Yeah, we need to.
as things are happening very quickly. And I've been working with lots of brokers and CPAs, and they're very concerned
Yes.
about the Affordable Care Act. So, Dana, tell us what you know about the Affordable Care Act, and I will a little bit later. But share with us where we've been for the last 25 years.
Well, let me back up first and tell you, first off, most people know me, Dana B. I was an independent sales director with one of the largest third-party administrators in the country, as Clint was for the last 25 years, 20 plus years. We've been doing it for the last 20 years. I am a certified healthcare reform specialist. I have my life, my health, annuities license. I've had it for a long time. And I work with 30 different programs. And what we were taught years ago is how to use these programs to be able to help accountants, brokers, uh, attorneys, brokerages, like I said before, uh, CPAs, enrolled agents. They weren't. They were kind of stuck in the ACA when it came out. So when Clint and I first started off as working with third-party administrators, we started with a program called a 105 plan, which actually enabled employers, a mom and pop group, to be able to deduct all of their out-of-pocket medical expenses and their premiums. And as you know, you can't deduct anything from out-of-pocket medical expense unless you're over 10% of your adjusted gross income. So that's literally where we started. And over the years, both he and I have been able to spend time working with these brokers, accountants, attorneys, CPAs, enrolled agents. Both of us have done continuing education to keep people in the fold with what's going on legally with the IRS, the EBSA, the EEOC, the Department of Labor, which is a huge one, if you know OSHA, okay, all of those programs. But we were able to do that for the CPE for the accountants and so forth, as well as the CE for the brokers and uh, the brokerages. So, Clint, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll get more back into a lot of the programs we did and then how we see things are going to affect the ACA. Tell everybody a little bit about your background as well.
Very good. Thank you, Dana. You know, it's been interesting. For 35 years, I've been involved very heavily in this industry. I started out with health life annuities. I was working in the industry helping people, quite frankly, learn how to navigate Medicare. And then I also realized how important it was to what Dana said to use Section 105 of the Internal Revenue Code that's been around since 1958, quite frankly.
Right.
And this is actually Section 105 was in place before HRAs were even known about. So to your point, Dana, we were way ahead of the curve in helping people save tax dollars. The average family using Section 105, where either the husband or the wife, whichever everyone owned the business, could hire the other spouse and give them friends benefits of health insurance and out-of-pocket medical expenses to the tune where they were saving anywhere. And from when I started this in 1987,
about $2,500.
Yeah.
Now it's around $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a year that people are saving for a couple $100.
Yeah, exactly.
And audit guaranteed for the IRS, Department of Labor, and EBSA.
So my question to people was always this: if you traded me $400 to save $4,000, would you do that?
Absolutely.
And they would always tell me yes, and then I would explain to them exactly how they would do that. Then we got involved with flexible spending accounts. And between Dana and I, with Section 105 and then Section 125, before there was ever an HSA, by the way, Section 125, we would go into companies and literally help them enroll in that so that they understood that they weren't going to lose their money like everybody thought that they would because of the use it or lose it. We'd teach them how not to lose it. We'd make sure that they understood. We made sure that the employer understood that if the employees didn't pay FICA, they didn't have to match FICA. So that was the trade-off for both of them because both entities at that point had tax savings. And the employee themselves would save it on federal, state, and FICA as an example.
Exactly.
And so we knew that we were going to save anywhere from 30 to 50%, depending on what their tax bracket was. So I always ask people, would you like to have a dollar for dollar to spend or 70 cents on the dollar to spend?
Exactly. And you know what's crazy, Clinton? Both of us figured out how to do this early on, especially with the accountants. If you had a small business of 4, 5, 6 employees and they spent $1,000 putting one of these plans in, not only did the employees come home with 35% more because on the savings on their health insurance and their out-of-pocket medical expenses, but the FICA savings actually covered the cost of the administration, and the employer never had to pay
anything.
Plus, they could deduct it. So it was, and neither one of us put in a plan ever. It was not a win-win-win for the employer, the employee, and for the broker or the accountant. So everybody had to win.
Yeah. So Dana, it didn't matter the size of companies you just mentioned. We would even do it for 4 employees, 5 employees, clear up to let's throw it out there. The Ohio State, which has 30,000 employees, we put it in for them. And when you put the medical expense in plus the dependent care in, they were saving hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Unbelievable.
By doing that. We also had Nationwide Children's Hospital as far as a client, a large client.
Absolutely.
And then I had every size from 1 employee clear up to them
to thousands
and everything in between. So when we look at each other, and I know Dana has some of the same things happening in Virginia and Maryland where he worked, quite frankly, you're looking at 2 people that have saved tens of millions of dollars for people in taxes that they got to keep in their pockets. So example, these glasses, $500. If I don't put it in an FSA or an HRA or an HSA today and I buy them after taxes, they actually cost $650 because I have to earn the tax money to support that. So would you rather spend $500 for the glasses or $650? That's how we would explain that. Well, here's the thing, and transitioning to what Dana and I want to talk about is the Affordable Care Act today, because quite frankly, they call it the Affordable Care Act. It was passed in 2010, and as Dana aptly
March 23rd, we were all sitting together, Clint.
Yeah,
we're all sitting together in a company meeting, going, "What did they just do? Wait a second. We get to pass it today and find out what's in it tomorrow." And we had already read most of that bill. That's almost 2,200 pages. Not all of it pertained to us, but we looked at it, scratching our head, going, "They'll never pass this," and our jaws hit the floor. We were like, but here's the cool part, though. What we did learn, Clint, is back in 2008, we were trained by the top ERISA, FMLA, HIPAA, COBRA, non-discrimination testing person in the country, if not the world. So we learned all about the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, which most people think is for retirement plans, but what they don't realize, whether you're 2 employees or greater, you have to have ERISA documentation. And we also found out, which happened a couple years ago, and I know that most people listening to this already know this, they hired 87,000 IRS agents to go after the employers that are providing all of the jobs here for the country. So it was absolutely insane to us in 2010 what was happening. And the 87,000 didn't happen for a few years later. But Clint, let's get cover the ACA for us real quick on what we saw from the exchanges to how it was designed to fail, what documentation was needed, federal poverty levels. I mean,
yeah, Dana, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that ERISA is an employer plus one law, because on the health insurance side, the health and welfare side, I will tell you that 90% of all employers out there today are not compliant,
Right.
because they don't have proper documentation. And
Oh, I'll never get caught.
Yeah. Well, I've never heard of it. I'm never going to get caught. Well, both Dana and I have prime examples of people that have, and what.
Oh, 300 and something $1,000 would cost them $8,000 for me to fix, cost them $330,000 later on for not having the proper documentation for ACA reporting.
Or quite frankly, filing 2,500 or 5,500 forms.
5,500 forms, right?
We've helped people get out of jams that were getting ready to have a DOL audit. And once it goes to the DOL, it goes to the IRS, by the way, because they report to each other at this point. So the ACA, as we mentioned, was not even in existence in 2008 when we began to learn all about ERISA, FMLA, HIPAA, COBRA, all of those things, all the acronyms, all the alphabets of the world. We were trained.
FMLA, ACA,
very classically.
NDT, non-discrimination testing,
yeah.
HIPAA, COBRA.
We were trained very classically by one of the best women that I've ever met in my entire life.
One of my favorite people, by the way.
I will tell you, you can edit this, but Dana, I think we should reach out to Carolyn and say, can we use your name in this, Carolyn? Because Carolyn is just a master.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Anyway, I'll put it in at this point. So yeah, we were trained by the best. Absolute person that we could have to understand how to get people to take care of themselves appropriately. And from that, we were able to teach CPE courses to CPAs. We were able to teach brokers how to do this correctly. Make sure, because here's what happens. The brokers go in and they say, you need to put this benefit in. They had no idea that they were actually putting people in peril because they put a benefit in.
Right.
And so we would teach them how to do that. We were the very first ones that went out with ERISA and help people get in compliance with the government. Because here's what you have to understand. If you're in that situation, your employee could ask you for your ERISA plan document. If you don't give it to them within 30 days, you start to pay the employee, not the government.
Absolutely.
The employee, $150 per day after 30 days.
It's higher than that now.
I think it may be 180, but it's a lot.
And you know what's crazy? By not having that document, if the employee turns the employer in, who gets the money? The employee for turning the employer in. So we actually have a situation where the inmates can run the asylum.
Well, so here you have it. You're going to pay the employee, and then the DOL is going to come in and say, okay, we want to see things. And then you get fined by the DOL and then potentially the IRS because they open up the books for everything. So that's just a little balance before the ACA. So I wanted to get that in before we talk about the ACA. March 23rd of 2010, Nancy Pelosi says we need to pass it so we can know what's in it.
Yep.
As Dana just alluded to.
Our jaws dropped.
And understand, it was Nancy Pelosi who said that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we found out what's in it. For the last 15 years, we've been dealing with, quite frankly, a healthcare crisis as a result of the ACA. Because you have to understand, there was already ways for people to get coverage in every state. They had a CHIP program, which was the comprehensive health insurance pool, that if you couldn't afford health insurance, you could go there, even with pre-existing conditions, and get coverage. Every state had that. Well,
we were lied to.
We were completely lied to. There was no reason to put the ACA in.
What was the first big lie, Clint? What was the first big lie?
Dana, you're spot on. The first two big lies were you can keep your health insurance and you can keep your doctors. I want to know today, Dana, how
we're going to save about $2,500 per person.
Yeah, we're going to save $2,500 per family to do this. Well, Dana, I'm going to ask you a good question. How many people do you know that are out on the exchange today that found out that their provider network didn't have their doctors in it, so they have to go change doctors?
Most.
Like
and
90%.
If your doctor is in there, it was, well, first off, let me back up a little bit with the doctor part, because I had the same doctor for 42 years, same from the time I was 18, 42 years. He left over the COVID shot. Okay. But I used to be able to call him, go over, say, hey, Dr. P, I don't feel good. I go to his brick and mortar. Well, then you had malpractice insurance and everything else. So all the doctors got sucked into the hospital system. Okay. So that was a big problem. So then when I got to the hospital system, They had, and I can still picture it. It was a giant grocery store that they turned into a medical facility in Maryland. So
Yeah.
each doctor had its own little cubicle office inside this place. So I would see a nurse practitioner who hooked me up to everything, or a physician's assistant who hooked me up to everything, took my blood pressure, and I got 6 minutes with my doctor. So the guy who knew everything about me all of a sudden was like, I got another patient. So we became a mill. And then you had your bronze, your silver, your gold, your platinum plan. Nobody knew what it covered. And the biggest joke, one of the biggest jokes, and we dealt with this for over the first year, Clint, when you and I were working together back then, is the exchanges never worked.
Oh, you couldn't even call in and get the stupid coverage because they were
Couldn't get it.
so malfunctioning. But here's the other part to what you just brought up, Dana. As a result of the Affordable Care Act, the doctor who knew you the best and knew how to prescribe things that would help you could no longer do that because they had to go through treatment A, B, and C before they could give you what you really needed.
Absolutely.
And what did that do to the cost of medicine? Because every time you have a test, cost of medicine goes up, and they have to go step by step. And that's law, by the way, because of the Affordable Care Act. What Mr. Obama proposed was exactly that. And by the way, I called him Mr. Obama. Understand why I call him Mr. Obama, because I think he was not a happy day.
No,
Okay?
it was never a happy day. I mean, I spent more time, Clint, meeting with the accountants. I'm still a member of MSATP, which is the Maryland Society of Accountants and Tax Professionals. I
Yeah.
was one of their top CPE, continuing professional education speakers, along with Bob Jennings, who you know from Tax
Oh,
Speaker.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I went in all the time and did these, from October until usually January,
January
then
1st.
tax season started again. So we did this all the time. And the poor accountants would call me up and say, Dana, because they say the broker didn't tell the accountant what was going on, and the accountant never talked to the broker. So they used us as the
As the
conduit,
bridge. Yep.
as the bridge. So the accountant would say, Dana, I have a problem with this client. I need you to go in and fix this, which would put me in touch with the broker. So what I ended up with being able to do, and I was very successful with it, was marry the broker with the accountant. So a lot of the times I would have the broker and the accountant on the same page. And by the time we finished, not only were they compliant, but it saved them time, effort, energy, and money. And the employer was happier and the employees were happier because they had a better benefit. But when it came into the ACA, then they started doing the mandates. So all of a sudden, we are forced to purchase something that we don't want. That's not constitutional. I know Judge Roberts upheld it. He didn't want to uphold it. He upheld it. Thank God that President Trump, and I will say President Trump, did something with the individual mandate because it is unconstitutional. It is a tax. So people that are healthy are paying for the people that are unhealthy. Then you start adding in the pre-existing conditions plus the bad medications, which we're learning now a lot about MAHA, making America healthy again, what they be giving us food wise, what they be giving us medication wise, what they did with the bioweapon
All of it. So Dana, get
jab that
this.
they gave us. I mean, this is an absolute mess. And we are this close next year to losing not only most of our healthcare system, which is completely not only fractured, it's broken, but people are going to lose their health care because there may not be a subsidy for anyone. So what I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing premiums, and I'm talking to a broker right now. It's a good friend of mine, and I keep in touch with a lot of these guys because I still work with them. Well, Danny, do you remember what we had last year? Yep. Well, that's now $2,354.89. And wait a second, hold on, let me read that again. $23.54.89. That can't, hold on a second.
So
Your
Dana,
premium is going to this.
so Dana, get this. I just spoke to a good friend of mine who is licensed in Idaho and Nevada.
Right.
He has not a patient, but a good family that he insures. They were out on the exchange. They just got notified that they're no longer going to be available for a subsidy. Their premium came back to them at $4,580 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh is right. So think about that. You talk about
There's no way.
You talk about something that's totally broke. We're talking about something that's totally broke.
And so is the client, and they just lost their house.
And I want to throw this out there because the Affordable Care Act made a lot of people liars. And let me tell you what I mean by that. A lot of people who are S corps, and by the way, I hope there's a lot of S corp people listening. Because
if you're an S corp, you need to talk to us, and if not, we're just going to point you in the right direction. Okay.
Don't care where you go, but understand this: if you're an S corp, and I know why most people are an S corp, is because they want to drive down what they have as taxable revenue, but they take dividends.
It's a shell protection.
It's a shell of protection, so that I can make myself qualify to get a subsidy.
Correct.
If you've done that, I promise you, at some point that's going to come back and bite you.
Absolutely.
And it's starting to. Now, the other thing that we need to understand, flat out, Dana, what just took place in the shutdown, and I'm going to call it what it is, the Democrat shutdown.
It was the Schumer Democratic shutdown.
Because they wanted to basically put $1.5 trillion back in that they saw coming out.
So the ACA and illegals.
For the ACA subsidies to make permanent what Biden did. Yeah, to make permanent what Biden did because of COVID, and I'm going to call COVID what it is. It was the plandemic, not the pandemic. They found out that this was a way in which they could control things, and by doing that, they baked in subsidies for people earning $90,000 to $150,000 that they would get subsidies. Those are the subsidies that are going away. Because people should be able to afford care. Well, the problem is when you get a $4,580 premium, hell, that's more than a mortgage, Dana. I'm telling you straight up right now, what we have to offer and help people is there's ways to get coverage, very good coverage, affordably, and have catastrophic care for your family that doesn't break the bank. If you want to stay with the BUCAs, that's Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Anthem. Great, go ahead and do that. Do whatever you want.
United, Cigna, Aetna, and then Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Who's thriving, Clint? The insurance companies are thriving. Big Pharma
let me bring back up.
Thriving.
Let me bring back up, and Speaker Johnson just brought this up. The BUCA plans, why they were all about this. There's three reasons things are happening. I'd like to talk about that just a bit, Dana, just for education for people. The bottom line is Chuck Schumer knew that there was $200 billion worth of subsidies that were going to insurance carriers that would help pay for the ACA. The carriers don't care because that was money banking in their pocket. Well, the other reason that this happened too, and this is education, ACA didn't change anything. What they did, Dana, and you know this just like I do, because it's in the bill, there was the 85-15 for large employers and the 80-20 for small employers.
Yep.
So what that means is 85% of all premiums that was collected by a large employer had to go out to the benefit of the insureds. The carrier got to keep 15% of that. They could never raise their premium if things stayed status quo.
And if they did, then they had to give it back in what was called the medical loss ratio refund.
Yes. And by the way, people did get that.
I know they did.
And the carriers,
we overpaid.
You overpaid in premium, here's your rebate. And they had to get it back. Now, the key to that is what you have to understand, Dana, in the education part of this, they didn't cap big pharma. They didn't cap hospitals, and they didn't cap doctors. Well, the biggest cause of our healthcare going up is big pharma. You have to understand that. The PBMs, the big pharma world out there, every time they would raise their prescriptions in their tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 drugs, every time that went up, guess what the insurance carrier could do? They could raise their premium. Absolutely. Because they had to pay for big pharma. Well, the same thing with hospitals, same thing with doctors. If the hospitals raise their rates, that give the insurance carrier the opportunity to raise their rates.
And you know what else they did, Clint? They also made it so impossible with the ICD-10 codes. If anybody's a doctor that knows what that is, that's how they code each one of the things that happens. And this made me laugh years ago. Do you know that there are 9 different ways or 9 different codes to get bit by a duck? No, I'm not trying to be
Oh,
facetious, but
yeah,
it's
but you got to
true.
laugh, Dana.
And then the extra money that the insurance company for following along with this, a lot is why do you think that a congressman or a senator makes a salary but ends up as a multimillionaire? Because they passed all of this stuff, so it goes right back to them. And I'm telling people right now, we'll probably get shot for this, but over 70%, and this is my guesstimation, are all involved in this. And this is part of the reason that they don't want a lot of some files coming out, because we're going to find a lot of different things that happen. So, Clint, let me ask you a question. What are some that were, and I want to preface something here. This is one of the first broadcasts that Clint and I are going to do. And it's just not for us to get rich or make money all over the place. We are so concerned about what's going on with illegal immigration, with the SNAP programs. I mean, today I was down there helping out Mountain Bliss with food because people don't have food. So we're an educational ministry. We want to make sure that people have the information that they need so that they can make a critical, logical, rational decision. So whether you come to us and we guide you someplace or you go someplace else, we'll be doing these little podcasts out there so that you'll learn what is a 105, what is an ICRA, an individual coverage HRA, health reimbursement arrangement, what is responsible for a PCORI fee if you have a self-insured plan, the patient-centered outsourced research institute fee. I mean, PCORI. I mean, and it's funny because a lot of people around here, Clint, think that I'm a jokester and everything else. I don't think some people realize that I actually do know this stuff really, really well.
Oh, you do.
Um, we know it really well, but it's more about caring about people. It's not the dollar. I mean, the people that are taking your dollars are sitting in Congress right now and at big pharma and in the insurance companies and in the hospitals. Our job is to try to make sure that you're on point with what's going on. So we will be covering ERISA. We will be covering HIPAA, COBRA, family medical leave. And you and I were laughing about this. What they want to do in Virginia is they want to put in paid sick leave. That's a whole other discussion that will literally bankrupt or could bankrupt every small business with 6 employees or greater in the state of Virginia because they don't care.
Well, the
It's
bottom
not
line to
about
that,
you.
yeah, the bottom line to that, Dana, if one state does it, they'll all do it. So don't kid yourself. Don't think, well, I don't live in Virginia, so it doesn't affect me.
It will.
Well, understand this. Nobody thought that the ACA would affect them the way it currently is because, as we now know, there is nothing affordable about the Affordable Care Act.
Exactly.
And I truly do mean that. And I guess in ending this particular situation with where we're talking, Dana, is quite frankly, there are ways
Let me
that
give you an
we,
idea. Let me give you an idea while you're talking, Clint. I'm going to pull something up that we've been looking at, and both of us have looked at the BUCAs. We've looked at MEC plans, minimum essential coverage plans, and so forth. And a lot of this stuff can be enjoined. We've looked at Zion. We've looked at Metashare. We've looked at so many of these things. And you and I both, after the last 8-9 months, finally felt comfortable enough to bring this particular program out into the light that people can
100%,
look at.
Dana, because the bottom line to what Dana's bringing up, first off, Dana alluded to this. I don't care what you do, you got to make a right decision for your family.
Absolutely.
And
that's what it's about.
neither Dana or I have ever been that type of a person that's high pressure. So understand there's never going to be high pressure from Dana. There's never going to be high pressure from Clint. But there's going to be education that you can make the right decision by.
Correct.
And in making the right decision, how about we show you exactly what you can get total health care for your family. Dana, go ahead and go to pricing. And let's just show them real quickly how affordable.
See, I'm not as good at this, Clint, because but I was pulling myself up the other day. So
Yeah.
You want to put in a birthday?
Well, let's do this. Let's put a birth date so that they can see this. We'll put an average person in there. Just do the 11th month. Do the
11.
Put today's date in there.
What's today? The 20th?
Yeah. And
then
let's
year?
Let's do 1985.
Okay, my son, 1985, 1985.
Now go down.
This was
This is,
really cool. And you and I will also talk about how we can also use a mech plan, or somebody, we'll do this at another time, a
yeah.
mech plan with this, or also if somebody has Medicare and you've got all these out-of-pocket expenses that are going to happen to you, we have a solution for that as well. How many people do you want in this plan, Clint?
Let's run it all three so you can see that. Let's just say we've got somebody born in 1985 and
Okay.
they're single. Oh, you put a 3 in. Okay, perfect. So you can see
I
that
wanted to go to the mat. I wanted to go 3+. So if you have 3, 4, 5 members of your family, this is
yeah,
basically what you're looking at.
yeah. So remember, I just told you about premium. The average premium today for a family right now, you're looking at $2,400 a month. That's horrible.
And
If they were to,
what's the deductible with that plan, Clint?
typically that just bought you a bronze plan, which means you got an $8,000 deductible times two, which is $16,000 plus an 80
Plus the
20 to
premium.
another 2,000. So now you're at over $18,000 out of your pocket for a $2,400 premium. That, quite frankly, sends people into medical bankruptcy. Medical bankruptcies, this is 70% of all bankruptcies in the U.S. So how
Absolutely.
about we look at something like this, Dana, and you look at somebody and say, okay, you have 3+ in your family. You want a $2,500 personal responsibility amount. That means for your entire family, not times 2. That's your entire family hits $2,500. Then you're starting to be at 100% after you hit another 5, 90, 10 to 5,000.
Yep.
So max out of pocket in that case is 7,500. Look at the cost share on that is $605 a month. If you were at $1,800 a month for your family, that's a 60% savings right there, Dana. Why educationally would you not make a choice to get catastrophic great coverage through Impact, which, by the way, you get a card. It's bill to bill. It's not like the other cost share plans where you have to go say, I'm self-pay, pay it, and then go to the share plan and have them reimburse you. Impact deals directly with the hospital and doctor and pays it right there for you, just like an insurance carrier would.
And 15 days. And let me say something about that, paying those bills, because I have members of my family that work in the largest hospital system in Maryland. Okay. And the insurance company doesn't know what the hospitals are doing, so they argue about the bills. A lot of these bills don't get paid correctly. The ICD-10 codes are wrong. Anytime somebody gets a bill, now here's some free advice. Anytime you get a bill from a hospital or a doctor, send it back and question it. And finally, you'll figure out that they probably coded it wrong, because I have a lot of friends of mine that do the actual coding. And they'll say, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be $7,000. Clint, we just had a situation through our advocacy, okay,
Yep.
where a woman had an $8,000 hospital bill. Our advocacy got in touch with them. This is not Impact. This is another program we have. But they had an $8,000 bill. By the time they finished, the young lady's name is Sierra, was the advocate. So Sierra helped this young lady out over $8,000. By the time they were finished, they figured out they had already overcharged the lady. Not only did they wipe off the $8,000, but she still had 4 months left in her plan. So she had no more out of pocket. So
Yeah.
that's how screwy your health insurance programs actually are. And coming back to Impact, you know what I like best about this? There's a wellness piece to this.
Yeah.
We have sick care. We don't have health care. We have sick care. So with this, how much of that 2,500, Clint, I'll let you tell people, how much of that $2,500 can I use towards staying healthy, towards my vitamins, supplements, and gym membership
How about $150 a month
every month? And that
every
goes to
month?
that 2,500, doesn't it?
It goes right to that 2,500 of the
Mm-hmm.
personal responsibility amount. So that means if you get $1,800, you see exactly where I'm going. You have $700
Stay
left
healthy.
in your personal health responsibility amount. But the key is they're wanting people to stay healthy and do the things that are right. Exercise programs, supplements, going and seeing wellness doctors, so you can keep yourself from being, in my opinion, going out to big pharma and being part of the sickness program. Because understand this,
You know, that's an extra
pharma,
cost, Clint. To have that wellness part into your health plan is an extra cost, and people never use it trying to get the points.
Correct. So understand this. Big Pharma never wants you to get better.
Right.
They only want you to have to go buy the prescription so that you have to be on it every month, because it's a $3.7 billion business. Actually, more than that, $370 billion a year that they make. Why do you think they ever want to make a cure? Dana, they don't.
You don't.
This is a situation where we put ourselves into play, and we help people become healthy, or help them become healthy, stay healthy, and hopefully they don't have issues as they get older. Last thing we should do today, just so you can see this is for families under age 65. Let's put somebody in that's 65.
All right, let's see if I can go backwards.
No, just go back up to the top. Just no. Go.
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
Go there too. All you have to do is just go right back up to the top. Now make that 1959.
All right, let's go to, well, it would actually be 58, wouldn't it?
No, 1959.
No, you're right.
Actually, 1960, you could put that in. That's fine.
I'm going to show my age now.
Go ahead and slide that down and hit get quote.
One member,
get a quote. Now, this is what's really cool. I'm going to tell you straight up right now, if you're Medicare age, this is as good as a supplement. It's a G supplement, a K supplement, whatever you want to do. This is available in every state. And if you buy a supplement, you're going to pay anywhere from $185 to $285 a month for the supplement, besides your Medicare Part B. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is more affordable than a supplement. You have $96 a month in share costs, and then you only have $1,000 personal responsibility amount. That's right. Cheaper than the premium for a supplement. That's better than a Medicare Advantage plan where you have zero premium, but you could have anywhere from a $4,800 deductible clear up to a $7,800 deductible. Why would you not consider something of this nature for Medicare, as opposed to going to the BUCAs, who can pull out of your county, Absolutely. Your city, your state anytime they want? Example, in Wyoming, United Healthcare pulled out of Wyoming completely, other than 2 counties, their Medicare Advantage plan this year.
Clint, let me ask you this. You bring up a great point here. How many times, if you're a small business owner and you're watching, if you're a business owner, how many times have you had Aetna one year, United the next year, Anthem the next year, Kaiser the next year, and you have to redo everything all the time? So the reason I brought that up is because if people are looking for a group or an employer option, we can do that as well. I'm going to take this down, Clint. Perfect. But I want to make sure that people, I didn't want to give people a sales pitch today. I just wanted to make people know that you have options. We have a phenomenal advocacy program to fight bills that you actually have already. We have a phenomenal urgent care, virtual care application for $12, $13 a month. That's Mountain Patriot price. Okay, so we wanted to make sure that people actually had these kind of programs, that they didn't have to run back and forth to the doctors when they get sick. So there's things that we wanted people to know that are out there that a lot of people don't know that are out there.
Okay, and last, in education, I'm going to tell every single person that goes to the doctor, goes to the hospital, goes anywhere where you have a medical bill, because the IBCT-10 codes that you talked about, first and foremost, never pay a bill that comes from the hospital or their doctor. No. Wait until you get what's called an EOB, or explanation of benefits, because that's when you pay, as you know what it should be. In this case, it would be explanation of service that comes from Impact. You know what's being paid, why it's being paid, and that it is correct. Otherwise, you could overpay, and I promise you the hospital and doctor is not going to get that money back to you for 6 months to 12 months once they finally go through their books and realize you overpaid. And we have to, by law, give that money back to you. But that's money that's tied up that you no longer have. So never pay a bill.
Spent. Think about what the doctor has to do, Clint. They have to sit down and actually, a lot of them have to do their medical billing, and they have to go through it. Now that's another expense that goes into the doctor, that goes into your insurance, that makes all this stuff absolutely ridiculous.
And unaffordable.
Unaffordable.
And you can thank again Mr. Obama and the Affordable Care Act.
Absolutely.
Dana, it's been a pleasure being on with
I
you
was
today.
just about to say that. And I do want to leave people with this. If you have questions, if you are a sole proprietor, and you want to know what a medical reimbursement plan is, where you can save five, six, seven, $10,000 a year, because people can't deduct their out-of-pocket medical expenses unless they have a 105 or a 125 plan. If you want to know what an individual coverage health reimbursement arrangement is, if you want to know how to really use a health savings account, or you're having questions, you're over 50 and you want to know what family medical leave is, or HIPAA or COBRA, we are more than happy to do a presentation or a seminar for you. If there's something that we can't handle, we'll be glad to tell somebody else and pass it on to them. The most important thing in our community, okay, is will we get business out of this? Yeah, we'll get a little bit of business, but the most important thing is to make sure that our communities are well taken care of. And something has been explained to them where most brokers and accountants, they don't have time to explain it because they need to make money just like you do. Okay, so they're out there trying to see as many people as they possibly can, and we can hook you up with the right brokers and accountants and so forth. We know most of them, and they know us, which is pretty neat. I mean, when you spend 25 years in the same profession, you kind of people start to get to know you just a little bit. So if you want to know about other services and things like that that you may need to look at, please follow us, like what you see, subscribe. Make sure you share this with friends, family members, and so forth. I do want to ask a question though, Clint, because you have a few family members on it. What was the maximum out of pocket that your son would have to pay this year?
Max out of pocket for my son's family would be 7,500.
$7,500, and then the premium didn't it come to 15,000 total with everything that was said and done?
If all is said and done, because he would pay $651 a month,
right?
And the 7,500, it's right at basically $12,000.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And so that you know, my wife Christy is on this plan. It's $361 a month for her. She has $2,500 personal responsibility amount. By the way, because of the PBM that Impact has, it's cheaper than the Buca PBM.
Yes.
And a prescription that would have been a Blue Cross Blue Shield prescription for her would have been $22. Through Impact, it was $7. So I want you to know you're going to get better coverage for prescriptions through Impact than you would through the Buca plans.
You know, it's funny you said that, because when I retired from corporate life, and I was on COBRA for a while and so forth, I was. And then I took a couple months. I was like, I'm not paying for health insurance. So I had a prescription. This is crazy. That would only give me, okay, they would give me 30 tablets for migraines. The cost of that was $79, okay, for 9 or 10 tablets, okay. Without insurance, it was $17.79. Or $17.89. I went over to Costco and I was like, okay, my gosh, they're going to fill my prescription for 30 tablets. This is going to be a $240 per. Okay, Mr. Brown, that'll be $17.80. What do you 17? What? Well, we put good RX with it, and this is what it came out. I said, so wait a minute. I paid for all this money for insurance, and the cost of my prescriptions were more.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that's again, that's the lovely Affordable Care Act that's caused a lot of that. So
we want to make sure people understood some of this. We will cover this again in future podcasts. We'll try to do this once every week or so. I know we have Christmas coming up and so forth, but we want people, because we know January's coming. And everybody right now is looking at what they're going to do right now for health insurance. I was looking at it too. We'll be on this plan. There's no question that we'll be on this plan. Okay. And the broker I was talking to was like, well, what would happen, Brad, if this happened this year? He goes, Dana, you're going to 2,400. And I'm going, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's not happening. So I hope this was informative to people. I hope this helped them out. You can find us at wakeupwinchester.com. Okay. You can also find us at MTNPATS, which is mountainpats.com. Everything is on our website, plus all the other interviews that we do with certain characters and from our historical podcast and other people that we get the opportunity to interview. So please check us out at wakeupwinchester.com. And with that said, Clint, God bless you, sir, for being here today. Thank you for all your help. Make sure that you get in touch with us. And with that, what do we always say at the end, Clint, when we're talking about Mountain Patriots? It's in the book. It's in the book, folks. Have a
I'm glad it's
blessed
in the book.
day.
All right. Thank you.